Let me ask you something gently but honestly. When was the last time you felt truly connected to another human being, without forcing it, without pretending, without relying on your children to fill the gap? For many people over 75, loneliness is not loud. It doesn't always look like crying or dramatic sadness. It can be a quiet, heavy feeling in the evenings, an empty chair where someone used to sit, a long afternoon when the phone doesn't ring, or that little ache in your chest when you see other people laughing together and you think, I used to have that. Maybe your partner has passed away and the house feels different now. Maybe your closest friends have moved, become ill, or are no longer here. Maybe your body doesn't move the way it once did, and going out feels harder than it should. Maybe the world feels faster, noisier, more impatient, and less gentle than it was when you were younger. And on top of this, there can be a quiet shame. Why do I feel this way when I do have family? Why am I still lonely when other people would say I'm lucky? Does this mean I'm ungrateful or too needy? If these thoughts have ever passed through your mind, I want you to hear this very clearly. You are not broken. You are not a burden. You are not too old to matter. You are a human being with a heart that still wants connection, warmth, and meaning. That is not weakness. That is life. It is also very important to understand something. Our children and relatives have their own lives, worries, and struggles. They may love us deeply, but they cannot always be our main source of emotional support every single day. And that's okay. Instead of depending completely on them, we can gently build our own sources of connection, inside ourselves and out in the world. In this video, I'm going to walk with you, step by step, through gentle, realistic ways to beat loneliness after 75 without depending on family. We'll talk about how to build connection from the inside out, your thoughts, feelings, habits, and from the outside in, other people, groups, activities, starting from very small steps that anyone can take, even if you are shy, tired, or out of practice. By the end of this video, my hope is that you feel three things: more hope, more courage, and more control over your own happiness. So, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, maybe hold a warm drink in your hands, and let's begin this journey together. You do not have to do everything at once. You just have to take one gentle step at a time. Point 1. Build micro-connections that brighten the day. Loneliness rarely disappears because of one big event, a party, a holiday, a grand reunion. In reality, it fades slowly through many small moments of human warmth. I like to call these moments micro-connections. A micro-connection is a short, simple, friendly interaction that reminds you that you still belong to the world. It might last only 5 seconds, but it gently tells your brain, I exist, I am seen, I am part of this place. Let's talk about Margaret from Yorkshire. After her husband died, her days became very quiet. The television stayed on for company. The clock seemed louder. Her children loved her deeply, but they had demanding jobs and children of their own. Weeks would pass with only quick calls and short messages. One day she said, I can go 3 days without hearing anyone say my name. It's like I'm invisible. The idea of meeting new people or making friends sounded huge. She didn't know where to start, and just thinking about it made her tired. So instead, she created a small, personal rule. Every day, I will have at least 3 short exchanges with other people. That's it. Not 3 new friends, not 3 invitations, just 3 tiny interactions. She began to thank the bus driver and ask, how's your day going? Chat with the lady at the bakery about which bread was freshest that morning. Ask her neighbor, how are your roses doing this year? They looked beautiful last spring. Tell the cashier, I like your earrings. They're very cheerful. Say good morning to the man walking his dog and ask the dog's name. None of these were long, emotional conversations, but something began to change. Her face became familiar to others. People started greeting her first. Some of those short chats naturally grew into longer ones. She began to feel more relaxed when she stepped outside. These micro-connections don't require energy for long visits. Don't require you to share your whole life story. Don't require a big social circle or perfect confidence. They are like tiny bridges to the world just outside your door. Why micro connections help your brain and heart? Your brain is always quietly asking, am I alone in this world or am I connected? Every smile, every good morning, every simple question to another person is a small vote for I am connected. Over time, these small votes add up. Your nervous system starts to relax. Your inner voice slowly shifts from I'm completely alone to I'm still part of this community. Micro-connections also reduce the pressure. When you think, I need close friends, you may freeze. When you think, I just need a few short, kind exchanges, it feels possible. How to start if you feel shy or awkward. If the idea of talking to strangers makes you nervous, remember, you don't need to be funny. You don't need to be interesting. You only need to be kind and genuine. You can even prepare a few simple lines in your mind in advance, like, busy day today? That's a nice color on you. Have you tried this breadfruit tea before? Your dog looks very friendly. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're simply sending out a small beam of human warmth, and most people will respond kindly. Your micro-connection challenge tomorrow, choose 3 small opportunities for micro-connections. It could be saying good morning to the person walking their dog, asking the pharmacist a small question and thanking them by name, complimenting someone's scarf, hat, or smile in the queue, saying thank you for your help today to any worker who assists you, nodding and smiling to someone who looks your way. You might feel a bit awkward at first. That's okay. Like any muscle, your connection muscle gets stronger with use. Over time, these little moments can soften the edges of loneliness and gently remind you, you are still part of the human family. Point 2. Join activity-based groups, not social groups. For many older adults, the idea of joining a social group feels uncomfortable. You might picture yourself walking into a room full of strangers, wondering where to sit, worrying about what to say. If you've been out of practice socially, that can feel overwhelming. So instead of searching for social groups, I encourage you to look for activity-based groups, places where people are doing something together. When your hands, eyes, or feet are busy, the conversation comes more naturally and there's less pressure. Think about Tom from Ohio. After retiring, his days stretched out in front of him, long and silent. His wife had passed away a few years earlier. His children lived several hours away. He tried attending a senior meet and greet at a local center once, but he felt out of place, sitting alone at a table. People seemed to already know someone. He went home feeling more lonely, not less. One afternoon at the library, he noticed a simple flyer, gentle walking group for all ages, meet at the park, Thursdays at 9 a.m., slow pace, friendly company, no experience needed. He didn't go to find friends. He went because he knew he needed fresh air and movement. The first week he walked near the back of the group, mostly listening. A woman beside him commented on the weather. Another man joked about his old walking shoes. No one asked him for his life story. They just walked side by side. He decided to go again the next week, and the next. Over time, the questions came gently. How's your knee doing this week, Tom? Did you watch the game last night? You're getting faster. You're going to leave us behind soon. Months later, Tom realized something remarkable. He wasn't just walking anymore. He belonged to a small, supportive circle of people who noticed if he was missing. Why activity-based groups are easier. In an activity-based group, the focus is not on being interesting or entertaining. The focus is on simply doing something together. The conversation becomes the background music, not the main show. This takes away a lot of social pressure. You don't have to start conversations from nothing. There's always something to talk about. The book you're reading, the plant you're growing, the song you're singing, the movement you're learning. Ideas for activity-based groups. Some ideas you might consider. A gardening club or community garden where you share tips and seedlings. A book club at the library where everyone reads the same book and shares thoughts. A choir or singing group even if you think your voice is just okay. Gentle yoga, tai chi, or chair exercise classes. Craft workshops, knitting, painting, pottery, card making. Local church, temple, or community center activities with tea and conversation afterward. a board game or card game afternoon at a senior center. If you feel nervous about going alone, ask someone to go with you the first time, a neighbor, a relative, or even a support worker. But remember, it is perfectly okay to go alone. Many people in those groups are also looking for connection. How to choose the right group for you. If stepping into a new group feels too big, start with this question. What did I use to enjoy doing, long before life got busy or complicated? Maybe it was music. Maybe it was gardening. Maybe it was playing cards or dancing or painting. Use that memory as a compass. Then, look for a small local activity where that interest is shared. The right group will feel more like, we're doing this together, and less like, I have to impress anyone. That's where genuine connection has room to grow, gently and naturally. Point 3. Create a weekly ritual that connects you to the world. Loneliness often grows in the empty spaces, those long stretches of time where nothing feels different from the day before. When every day looks and feels the same, it's easy for the mind to whisper, nothing is happening in my life anymore. I'm just existing, not really living. This is where weekly rituals can be powerful medicine. A ritual is something you do at the same time, on the same day, that gives your week a shape, a rhythm, and something to look forward to. It doesn't have to be big or fancy, it just has to be repeated. Let's revisit Nora from Melbourne. When her mobility changed and she stopped driving, her world shrank. She used to run errands, meet friends, go to the shops freely. Now she felt nervous about traveling far. She spent more time at home, watching television. The days blurred together. She said, "Sometimes I don't know if it's Tuesday or Friday. It all feels the same." One day, her neighbor suggested a simple idea. "Why don't you come with me every Wednesday to the cafe down the street? Same time, every week. We'll just sit and people watch. No pressure. If you don't feel like talking, we won't talk much." Nora agreed to try once. Every Wednesday, she went to the same cafe, sat in the same corner, and ordered the same cup of tea. Over time, small changes appeared. The waiter learned her name and regular order. She started recognizing other regular customers and nodding hello. She and her neighbor created a Wednesday tradition of sharing one dessert and rating it, 8 out of 10, too sweet, perfect with tea. It may sound small, but for Nora, Wednesdays became an anchor, a bright point in her week. On Monday, she'd think, just 2 more days until cafe day. On Thursday, she'd smile at the memory of yesterday's jokes. Why rituals help with loneliness? Rituals give your mind something to anticipate. They create a sense of stability. No matter what else happens, I know that on Wednesdays I do this. I'm not just floating through time. My week has shape. Rituals can also slowly draw other people into your life. When you go to the same place at the same time regularly, you become part of the background of that space, recognizable, expected, included. Ideas for simple weekly rituals. You can create your own weekly ritual. It does not have to cost much or require long travel. Some examples: a weekly visit to a farmer's market or local shop where you chat with the same people. A regular time to attend a faith service or spiritual gathering, followed by coffee with others. Volunteering one morning a week at a charity shop or community kitchen. A weekly trip to the library to return books, browse, and chat with staff. A fixed time each week for a phone or video call with a friend or relative. A weekly walk and watch in the park, same bench, same day, watching the changes around you. Ask yourself, if I had one small event every week that I could count on, what would it be? It should feel like a gentle promise to yourself, not a burden. Over time, this one thread can help weave a much larger social fabric, giving your week structure, color, and anticipation, and quietly shrinking loneliness. Point 4. Let technology work for you, not against you. For many people over 75, technology feels like another planet. Touch screens, passwords, updates, tiny icons. It can be frustrating and overwhelming. You might think, this is for young people, not for me. I've lived most of my life without it. Why start now? But used gently and in small doses, technology can become a bridge, not a barrier. You are allowed to use only what truly helps you and ignore the rest. Let me tell you about James from Sydney. He used to say, "Computers and smartphones are nonsense. If people want me, they can call on the landline or visit." But his son moved overseas, and his grandchildren grew up in a world of video calls and messaging. He began to feel like he was watching their lives through a window instead of being inside the room. One holiday season, his granddaughter visited and said, "Granddad, can I show you just one thing? Only one. I promise it will help us stay close." She taught him how to answer a video call, nothing more. They practiced together. She went into the next room and called. He pressed one button to answer. They laughed at their faces on the screen. She wrote the steps on a piece of paper in large letters. When the phone rings, touch the green button. Wait for the picture. Say hello. James kept that paper by his chair. A few months later, his son called from thousands of miles away. James answered and saw his son's face and his grandchildren waving, showing him their drawings and school projects. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he was there with them, not just hearing about their lives after the fact. Later, his granddaughter helped him join an online chess group for older adults. Once a week, he sat at his table and played with people from different cities. They joked about bad moves, talked about the weather, and shared small pieces of their lives. His world expanded without him leaving his living room. All of that began with learning one skill: how to use technology without feeling overwhelmed. Here's the key. You don't need to master everything. You only need to learn the one or two tools that truly serve you. For example, you might choose a simple video call app to see your family or friends, a messaging app where people can send you photos and short messages, a website or app where you can join a group class or discussion, for example, chair exercise, language learning, or hobby groups, an online radio or talk program where you can listen and maybe call in. If you feel nervous, ask for help. Many communities offer tech help for seniors, sessions at libraries or community centers, patients from grandchildren, nieces, nephews, or neighbors who are happy to teach if asked clearly. When you ask for help, be very simple and specific. "I don't want to learn everything. I just want to learn how to do this one thing." Take notes in large writing. Keep them next to your device. Practice a few times while someone supportive is nearby. With each successful try, your confidence grows a little. Technology, on your terms, can turn your home from a quiet island into a doorway to voices, faces, classes, games, and communities that you might never meet otherwise. Even one regular online connection a week can make your life feel less isolated and more alive. Point 5. Give your time, experience, or wisdom to others. Loneliness often deepens when we begin to feel useless, when it seems like we are no longer needed. You might think, "My working years are behind me. My children are grown. What purpose do I really serve now?" But the truth is this: older adults carry something extremely valuable that the world still needs: time, perspective, patience, and lived experience. These are treasures younger generations cannot get from Google or books. One of the fastest ways to shrink loneliness is to be needed again. Think of Helen, age 79. After her husband died, she said, "I feel like the last chapter of my life is just waiting for appointments, waiting for the day to end. I'm not contributing to anything." Her daughter suggested a local elementary school that needed volunteers to listen to children read. At first, Helen resisted. She worried, "What if I'm too slow? What if the children don't like me? What if the teachers think I'm in the way?" But she agreed to try one morning a week. On her first day, she sat with a little boy who struggled over simple words. She gently guided him, one line at a time, praising every small success. "That's it. Good job. Let's try the next word together." When he finally reached the end of the page, he looked up and asked, "Can you be my reading lady every week?" Helen went home with tears in her eyes. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel invisible. She felt useful. She felt wanted. Ways you can be needed. You don't have to be a teacher or work with children. You might volunteer at a charity shop, greeting customers, sorting clothes, or arranging shelves. Help at a community kitchen or food bank, packing bags or serving meals. Offer your skills, knitting, sewing, woodworking, cooking, as a small informal class or circle. Participate in a befriending program, making weekly phone calls to other lonely seniors. Mentor younger adults in an area where you have experience: business, trades, caregiving, budgeting, parenting, or life skills. Offer to help organize books at a library or assist staff with simple tasks. You can even set boundaries. Maybe you only volunteer 2 hours a week. That is enough. The goal is not to exhaust yourself. The goal is to reconnect with the feeling, my presence makes a difference. How contribution shrinks loneliness. When you give your time and experience, several things happen. You stop focusing only on your own thoughts, worries, and aches. You start to feel that your day has a reason. You have somewhere to be, someone to see. You create natural, repeated contact with people who appreciate you. Even 1 or 2 hours a week can change how you see yourself. You are not just an old person. You are a carrier of wisdom, kindness, and patience that someone else is quietly hoping to find. Point 6. Reconnect with old friends, even after many years. Sometimes the people who can understand us best are those who knew us long ago. Former co-workers, neighbors, classmates, or old family friends. They remember who we were in our earlier chapters. They remember our stories, our humor, our struggles. But reaching out after years or even decades of silence can feel scary. You might think, they've forgotten me. They're too busy now. They'll think it's strange if I suddenly contact them. I don't want to bother anyone. Yet very often, the opposite is true. Many people feel deeply moved when an old friend remembers them. Let's look at Robert, now 82. One afternoon, while cleaning a drawer, he found an old address book from his working days. He saw the name George with a faded phone number and address. George had been his fishing partner for years, but after retirement, they'd drifted apart. For over a week, Robert stared at that name and hesitated. Finally, he wrote a simple letter. "Dear George, I was thinking of you today and remembered the fishing trips we used to take. I don't know if this is still your address, but I'd love to catch up if you're open to it. Warmly, Robert." He mailed it, expecting nothing. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. It began, "Robert, you have no idea how much your letter meant to me. I've thought of you often. Life got busy and then it got quiet, and I never knew how to reach you." They soon arranged regular phone calls. They laughed about old stories, shared their current health struggles, and gave each other something precious: companionship rooted in shared history. How to reopen old doors safely and gently. You can try something similar. Look through old phone numbers, address books, emails, Christmas card lists, or yearbooks. Choose one name that brings a warm memory, not a painful one. Reach out with a short, gentle message or letter, such as, "You crossed my mind today and made me smile. I'd love to reconnect if you'd like. I was remembering the times we worked together, lived next door, sang in choir, and wondered how you're doing." You do not need to explain everything or apologize for lost time. Life happens. People drift. Reaching out now is an act of courage and kindness, to yourself and to them. If they don't respond, that's okay. Their silence does not mean you are unworthy. It might simply mean their life is complicated at the moment. You can be proud of yourself for trying, and you can try someone else later. If they do respond, you may rediscover a connection that feels familiar, warm, and effortless. A reminder that you have been loved and valued at many times in your life, not just now. Point 7. Strengthen your relationship with yourself. This last point may be the most important of all. Loneliness is not only about the absence of other people. Sometimes it's about feeling disconnected from yourself, from your own inner voice, your own interests, your own sense of worth. If you feel empty, numb, or critical of yourself inside, no amount of visitors or phone calls will fully fix that feeling. That's why part of beating loneliness is learning to be a kind, steady companion to yourself. You have lived through many years. You have faced challenges and joys. There is a wise, experienced part of you that deserves attention and care. Here are some gentle ways to begin strengthening that relationship. 1. Journaling. Let your heart speak on paper. You don't need to be a writer. Your journal is not for anyone else's eyes. It is a safe space where you can be honest without judgment. Each day you can answer one small question. What did I notice today? What am I grateful for today, even if it's very small? What emotion am I feeling right now? What is one thing I handled well today? You can write 3 sentences or 3 pages. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you give your inner self a place to speak. Over time, you start to hear your own wisdom, not just your worries. You may also begin to see patterns, things that lift your mood and things that drain it. 2. Gentle reflection or meditation. Give your mind a resting place. Find a comfortable position. You can sit in a chair with your feet on the floor or lie down if that's easier. Close your eyes if it feels safe, or rest your gaze softly on one spot. Take slow breaths in and out. You might repeat a gentle phrase in your mind, such as, I am still here. My life still matters. I am allowed to feel and to heal. I am learning to be kind to myself. Even 5 minutes a day can make a difference. This is not about emptying your mind completely. It's about giving yourself a small island of calm in the middle of your day. 3. Nature. Let the world remind you. You're not alone. You don't need a big garden or a long hike. Nature can be as simple as sitting by a window and watching birds, clouds, or trees move. Stepping outside to feel the air on your skin for a few minutes. Noticing a single flower, leaf, or ray of sunlight. Nature whispers, you are part of something larger. Life is still happening, and you are in it. It can soften feelings of isolation and remind you that you belong to this earth, not just to your room. 4. Hobbies. Rediscover the things that make time disappear. Think back to times when you would start doing something and suddenly an hour passed without you noticing. That's called flow. It often happens with hobbies. What did you enjoy years ago? Was it drawing, painting, or coloring? Knitting, crochet, or sewing? Puzzles, crosswords, Sudoku, or card games? Playing music, singing, or listening deeply to favorite songs? Baking, cooking, or trying simple new recipes? Fixing things, building models, or working with wood? When you do something you enjoy, your mind gets a break from constant worrying. You feel capable again. Later on, you may even share this hobby in a group, turning it into a double source of joy, one for you and one for others. 5. Self-care rituals. Treat yourself like someone who matters. When we are alone, it's easy to think, why bother? Why bother dressing nicely, grooming, or making a proper meal if no one will see? But every small act of care is a message to your own heart. I am worth looking after. You might make your bed each morning as a gift to your evening self. Choose clothes that make you feel good, not just whatever is there. Prepare one small but attractive meal a day, even just for you. Use a plate you like, sit down, and really taste your food. Keep a warm drink ritual in the morning or at night where you sit quietly and check in with yourself. How am I feeling today? When you strengthen your relationship with yourself, something powerful happens. Other people become a bonus, not your only lifeline. You stop depending completely on family to make your inner world feel okay. You become emotionally steadier, able to welcome connection, but also able to be with yourself in a kinder way when things are quiet. You begin to realize, I am not just waiting for life to happen to me. I am actively taking part in my own comfort, my own peace, and my own joy. Loneliness after 75 is real. It can feel heavy, silent, and endless. But it is not a life sentence, and you are far from powerless. You can begin with very small, gentle steps. A smile or short chat with someone in your day. Your micro-connections. Joining an activity-based group where you can simply do something alongside others. Creating a weekly ritual that gives your days structure and something to look forward to. Learning one piece of technology that brings voices and faces into your home. Giving your time and experience where it's needed so you feel useful and valued again. Reaching out to an old friend who once mattered to you. You might be the light they're secretly waiting for. Deepening your relationship with yourself so you feel grounded and supported from the inside out. You do not need to change everything at once. Just choose one step from this video, one that feels possible for you right now, and try it this week. Then, when you're ready, add another. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these ideas spoke to your heart the most? Is there one small step, just one, that you feel ready to try this week? Please share in the comments below. Your words might give courage to another person who is feeling exactly as you do right now. If this video brought you comfort, hope, or even one helpful idea, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need it. You might be the reason another person feels less alone tonight. Remember, you are not just getting old. You are still growing, still capable of forming new bonds, still worthy of love, respect, and joy. Your story is not over. There are still chapters ahead, and you have the power, even now, to make them warmer, fuller, and more connected than you might imagine.